Okay, let's continue our lecture. So lecture number 1, Introduction to Scientific Writing. Okay. So these are the outlines. I will introduce the importance of scientific writing. Then I will introduce a typical research procedure. And I will introduce some of the fundamentals of effective communication. Okay. So let's take a look at the communication needs. So there are many kinds of communication that you will encounter. So you have reports, you have articles, you have proposal, you have web page, and so on. And for the place that, so you have conference, you have lectures, you have meetings, you have poster sections, and you have many kinds of audience. For example, you have very specific technical audience, you have very general technical audience, you have non-technical audiences. So how do we actually communicate effectively? Let's take a look at these two examples. Time 0 minutes, 3 minutes, 6 minutes. Degrees 25, 27, 29. And the other one, degrees 25, 27, 29 degrees. Time 0 minutes, 3 minutes, 6 minutes. So, did you understand anything from these two tables? Of course, no. What is missing? The context, okay? Remember, the goal of any information is to communicate. So, accurate information is useless if the reader cannot understand it, okay? So, for these previous two tables, we need to know more about the context, about how they do the experiment, and what kind of measurements. For example, time from what to what is the degrees of, so temperature of liquid or machines or whatever. So we need a lot more information. So why scientific? So basically, scientific is to contribute to the world of knowledge, and to have originality, and to have critical thinking and insight to some problems. So basically, in scientific field, we communicate the design and results of an experiment or a typical research process. So basically, what you did and what it means, okay, so that others can follow and hopefully they can get the same results. Basically, we have to have a clear, accurate, formal format divided by headings so that it makes it easier to follow. And typically, we have to employ a similar research process which involves reading around the subjects, design method, collect data, analyze the results, and give some conclusions. Basically, you have to apply a lot of analytical and reasoning skills that you have developed throughout your course. So what are the differences between a thesis and a journal paper? Okay, so basically a thesis is a deep study done under the guidance of an experienced advisor, okay, and written after the research is carried on a particular field. On the other hand, paper itself is the research manual of journals and theses. Okay, the thesis purpose is to achieve sufficient knowledge to get the degree, and the paper purpose is to convey the subject to the relevant users. The thesis will be evaluated by a committee of experienced personnel in the university or in the institution, issued by the degree. On the other hand, the paper will be evaluated by 2 or more experts in the same field in the world, okay? So we call them peer reviewers. And the paper will only be published after getting accepted through a peer review process. So this means all of the peer reviews have to agree to publish your papers. Okay. About the content, thesis usually will be containing some things like introduction, materials, procedures or experiments, results, conclusions. For paper, it will have abstract, introduction, materials, procedures, experimental results, and discussion, conclusion. Okay. And one of the most important things to remember is thesis cannot be considered as a proper literature in your literature review. Okay, I repeat, you cannot use a thesis as a proper literature. Okay, so this means you can't just say something like your seniors 2 years ago say that this is correct, so it must be correct. So it's wrong. Okay, only scientific papers from a recognized journal publisher will be can be considered as a proper literature. This is a typical research procedures. Basically, it will start at finding ideas and planning how to conduct the research, then working on a research. After getting something, then we have to prepare the manuscript and publishing the manuscript, and we have to handle the post-manuscript issues. So in this course, we will be at the stage of publishing the manuscript. Okay. Because most of you guys will not be participated in the process of publishing papers in your 4th year. But for the sake of completeness, I will introduce all of them, but I will go through very briefly. Okay. Those who want to know more, please take a look at those references I mentioned in the slides. Okay. So typically these are the steps that we do, or I have to use in the past and even now. So at first, have to find a proper journal, then prepare the manuscript. Next is to submit and revise the manuscript according to the peer reviewer opinions and questions. Track the submission, track the accepted articles, and revise some more after it is being published. Then continue to the sharing or promoting your research. So there are many ways to find a journal. Okay, so basically there are 2 kinds, ISI and non-ISI. Okay, so ISI stands for International Scientific Indexing. Okay, in short. So in ISI there are a few. The first one is SCI, okay, Science Citation Indexed. These are very old and established or classic, okay, in technical fields. In social science, there's another one, SSCI, so stand for Social Science Citation Indexed. These are established, okay. Later on, we have since the technology is expanding so fast and the classic publisher cannot be able to cope with the fast development, so new kinds of index are proposed. So we have SCIE, so Science Citation Index Expanded. Okay, so currently you can find the total numbers of journals that have this kind of thing. So I repeat, only ISI papers can be considered as a good or respected or usable literature. Okay, sometimes you can use Scopus journals as well, but the number of journal publisher actually indexed by Scopus are so much higher, therefore it is so much easier, and the peer review process is not as rigorous as those in the ISI framework. Okay, so how do we search for the journals? Please follow the link, theclarivate.com. Okay, Next one, impact factor. So basically, how do we measure the importance or the prestige of a journal? So typically, researchers agree to propose an index called impact factor. Basically, it is a measure of the frequency with which the average article in the journal has been cited in a particular year. So what does it mean? So how many times the paper have been used in other notable research. Okay, the more it is referred to, the more it is helpful to other research, the better the journal it is. Okay, so there are many ways to check this number. Usually we have to pay some kind of money. Okay, but if you want to know this, you can ask me. I can give you some if you wanted to. And there are many kinds of free website that we can do. We can check the prestige as well. For example, I usually use scimagogr.com. Okay, so this one can check whether the journal you are intended to submit the paper to is notable. Okay. Later on, I will show you a demonstration for this. Okay, for example, let's say we want to check the rank of the Journal of the American Chemical Society. Okay, so we go to scimagojr.com and we type the name and enter. Okay, we see many graphs like this. Okay, so you can know how many times the number of cited documents, uncited documents. So as you can see, this one is very good journals. Okay, so most of the articles submitted to this journal publisher have been cited. This means all the research made to this journal are notable and worthy. Okay, I give you another demo. So let's take a look at this publisher. Okay, the journal title is Expert System with Application, a very famous one in your field. Okay, so I go to scimagojr.com and search for this. So we know a lot more information about this journal. Okay, the country of origin is United Kingdom. Okay, so the subject area is computer science, artificial intelligence, computer science applications, engineering miscellaneous, and it's actually from Elsevier. And it has been published from 1990s and still ongoing. Okay. Scrolling down, we have seen many more indicators. Okay, number of citation per document is steadily increasing, at least four per articles per year. So it is increasing, so it should be 6 by now. Okay, and on the bottom of the web page, you see that this one is ranked Q1 in artificial intelligence. Okay, so very famous. So this means top tier ones. Next, how to search for proper journals to publish. Actually, please follow the link in your slide, so I will not be cover this part. Okay, and one also important thing for finding a proper journal is review and republication, the publication time. So you can also search for this information in the slide. And some practical issues, for example, like what kind of disciplines can we apply to, what is the intended audience, journal impact factors and versus your work's impact, and so on. Okay. Next step is to prepare your manuscript. So for journal preparation, please read the guideline for authors on each of the special journals. Okay, each journal have their own standard for format and all kinds of reference and how to prepare the figures and so on. Okay. Next step is to submit and revise your manuscript. So some publisher actually ask you to submit online, like the ACS. Okay, so peer review, sometimes you can actually suggest the person you want to review. Sometimes you can suggest some scientists that you want to review your papers. Okay, sometimes the journals will choose the top expert in the field. Okay, open access. So this one is recently proposed. So usually people will pay to get access to your paper, but in the open access mode, you will pay some kind of publishing fee so that the viewers don't have to pay anything to access your paper. Okay, so using this method, your research can reach a wider target audience because they don't have to pay any money. Okay. Next step is to track your submission, and most of the time you can track your submission online. So after getting the accepted letters from the journals, then you can share your papers, you can promote your papers. And after that, you have to work with the post-publication issues, for example, incorrect data, retraction, and so on. Okay, those who want to know more about this, you can contact me personally. Okay. Next part is how to give a proper or an effective communication. Okay, there are 5 things to cover. First one, name of the game. Next, laws of communications. Next, 1,000 words or 1,000 pictures. Okay. Next, chains and magical numbers. Last is trees, maps, and theorems. Okay, name of the game. So let's say we have raw information. Okay, so that means what? And you want to get the message out. This means so what? Okay, so basically you guys want to present intelligent added value, something so that the viewers or the audience understand more about the information that you want to give, and you want to interpret the information for a specific audience for a specific purpose. Okay. For example, information. A concentration of 175 micrograms per cubic meters has been observed in urban areas. Okay. If that is information, but what if you want to convey as a message? Then it will become the concentration in urban areas is 175 micrograms per cubic meters. Unacceptably high. Okay. A word caption or a noun phrase, for example, evolution of sales over the years. As a word caption, or basically a statement like sales dropped by 40% last year. Okay. More details about the information. So basically you want to get audience to pay attention to understand, and to act upon a maximum of message given constraints that you have. So basically effective communication is optimizations under constraints. Okay. Next step, about 3 laws of communication. First one, adapt to your audience. Okay. we have to deliver to the audience. So the audience actually decide how you will communicate. The second one is to maximize the signal to noise ratio. Okay. So let's say that during the process of delivering to your audience, definitely there will be some noise. So what is noise? Noise are unwanted things. Okay. For example, boring content can be one annoying factors. Okay. Flashy layout, so unnecessary use of colors, or too many words on the slides and so on. And these noises will affect the audience attention, and they will affect the purpose, and they will make the communication not effective. The last law of communication is have to use effective redundancy. Okay, and so basically effective redundancy works in two ways: compensations and collaborations. Okay, so sometimes we have to use more than one method. Next one, 1,000 words or 1,000 pictures. Okay, so we have to understand the advantage and disadvantage of using different means of communication. For example, for intellectual processes, verbal versus non-verbal. Okay, so for verbal, it will be text-like, okay, a lot of text. For non-verbal, so you can have vocal, okay, sound, or visual. Okay. For rational or intuitive, so for rational you can have abstract or learned. For intuitive, you have concrete or innate. For sequential, you have slow, exclusive. For global, you have fast or non-exclusive. Okay. So to decide which one to use is an important step. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words, versus sometimes some words convey concepts better than 1,000 pictures. Okay, so please decide. One example here: number versus visual code. Okay, there's two examples. On the left you see a bar graph, on the right you see a picture. So which do you think can communicate better? Okay, and for what purpose? Please leave a comment on the YouTube or in the discussion section. Next one, trees, maps, and theorems. Okay, there are many ways to use the tree structures. For example, we have deep structures in the first one. Okay, from the top there's two branch and so on. So every point we have two so-called coming layers. Okay, so actually binary kinds of concept. Or we have flat structures, so we have just one layer but many components. Or we have a well-balanced structures. Okay, so basically for well-balanced structures we have maximum 3 tiers. In each tiers have like maximum 5 connection to one node. So the last one is the one I usually recommend to use. Okay, and we have to allow easy navigation. So we have to have table of contents, headings, figure, core, index, and so on. And we can follow top-down approach for oral presentation. For example, main message, what you want the audience to remember. Main points, so what supports this message, and what are the subpoints to support also. Okay, always start your message first. Okay, so motivation and message are very important, because motivation makes the audience receptive to the topic of the document. Okay, if they are not motivated to learn more, they will not pay any attention to. Okay, so for the message, once you have the audience attention, tell them the main message. Next step, the details. So to support the message, tell them how you got there, okay? For the appendix, last of all, present separately what fewer people we want to know. So very details, how to derive the equations and how to prove that the theory is correct and so on. Okay. Remember, motivations and message are the most important things. Okay, so next lecture will be more about planning the document, designing the documents, and drafting, formatting, and revising the documents. Thank you very much.